I'm not a winter sport person. I've never been skiing in my life. I tried snowboarding briefly once. It didn't end well. So when it comes to snow, I have to think about it from a different lens than a lot of people. Guten gardening, everybody. It is so peaceful and calm out here. A snowy day, which I think this is maybe the third reasonable snowfall we've had all winter here in Zone 5, Wisconsin. We really haven't had that much. And in today's video, I want to try to give you maybe a little bit of a different perspective when it comes to snow, because you saw me at the beginning. One of the things you got to do when it's snowing outside is clear off the snow, whether it's with a shovel, snowblower, whatever you've got. And so I think a lot of times when we think about snow, we think about the hassle that comes with it, the cleaning of the snow. We think about driving in snow and how challenging that can be. But truly, when it comes to gardening, there's quite a bit of benefit to snow cover, and that's what I want to talk about today. It's so funny when I come out here in the winter time and I think about how little this is going to resemble the garden of a couple of months from now. Here with about 5 or 6 inches of snow that we've gotten this week, you can see it's like it almost looks like a bed that you could sleep on here, comfortable. But I know that underneath this blanket of snow, I've got a layer of mulch. You can see the mulch coming in right here. And underneath that couple of inches of mulch, that blanket of mulch, I've got some beautiful garlic growing, or it's going to be growing once the temperatures warm up. And that's one of the things I absolutely love about snowfall is the insulation that it creates for our plants. It allows for a pretty big difference in temperature depending on how deep the snowfall is. One of the studies I read from a couple of years ago said that there was about a 40-degree difference possible, give or take, with about 9 inches of cover. So if we're thinking about ways in which snowfall can actually protect the roots of our plants, that is a main benefit or a primary benefit. This snow cover can actually help our plants that are maybe a little less hardy in the winter, especially in our colder growing zones like Zone 5, Wisconsin. It can help protect those roots just a little bit more. I mean, oftentimes we come out and we add some mulch to do that initial layer of protection, but then we can add to it with the snowfall. And it's a little bit difficult when we're not getting that snow cover. You know, one of the things that's also true is that we do get a lot of wind in this area. And one of the nice things about snow is as it's blanketing our soil, it's going to prevent any additional erosion or help to prevent any additional erosion. It's almost a little bit difficult to walk out here with all this snow. And one of my favorite things about snowfall, and I read an article about this, it was a 2016 article, I want to say, where they were referencing snowfall as the poor man's fertilizer, primarily due to the fact that there's the addition of nitrogen into your soil from the snow. And as snow comes in, just like rain, just like lightning, just like a lot of the other natural occurrences that bring nitrogen into your soil, snow has the added benefit of typically a slower melt in a singular area versus the tendency of rain to fall. If it falls too quickly, it doesn't have time to soak in, instead it just runs off. But snow, this is going to be sitting here until we get some warmer temperatures, and who knows how long that's going to be at this point. But it's going to sit here, and as temperatures start to climb, it'll slowly melt down into the soil. And so that nitrogen that it's bringing with it has the time to settle into the soil. And one of the things that I understand about this snow as well is it can really help with our soil moisture levels in the spring, so we don't end up coming out of here with a whole bunch of dried out soil. So we need this snowfall certainly to help us with that. And actually, I didn't even intend to talk about this in this video, but now that I think about it, one of the other cool things about snow is that it is like rainwater. And so we know that watering our plants with water from the pipe, which is something we have to do quite often in our indoor garden, while that may be necessary for us, especially when we don't have any snow, it's pretty simple to come out and in a large container gather snow up and then use that snow as a way of watering, a better form of watering for our indoor plants. So there's that additional benefit. You see, the thing is, I'm not a winter sport person. I've never been skiing in my life. I tried snowboarding briefly once. It didn't end well for me. So when it comes to snow, I have to think about it from a different lens, I suppose, than a lot of people. Because I live in one of those colder growing zones where we have to expect that there's going to be snow. And since I'm not somebody who's going to take advantage of it for sport, I want to think about how it's going to advantage us here in the garden. Especially when I know that the wintertime is what takes me away from this outdoor garden space where I really enjoy spending my time. Although I do remember somebody else talking about an added benefit of the winter, but this was more about the effect of the cold than it was about snow. And that was that the winter time is great because all those pests, insects, and other things that you don't love in the summer go back to where they came from. Speaking of which, next Saturday at 7:30 p.m. Central Time, my plan is to have a live stream where we focus on garden pests and garden helpers. And I did send out an email to those on our mailing list asking for some photos of any garden pests that you may have, or any garden helpers, any photos that you may have of that from your own garden. And I'm going to send that request to you right now. If you have any photos that you'd like to have featured on our live stream, any photos of little garden helpers like your ladybugs, or well, anything that you could think of, your pollinators, or some of the pests that you've had to deal with, I'd like to be able to take some time and have a conversation about what we've done with some of the pests, maybe some suggestions from our community. One of the things that I love about our live stream is that when we have a live stream, we have a great community of people with different experiences who can make different suggestions. And this will be a really great opportunity to talk about some of the helps, some of the fixes, some of the strategies we have for dealing with some of these garden pests, or ways of maybe improving the environment for our garden helpers. So if you're interested in having some of your photos as a part of that live stream, email us those photos at gutengardening@gmail.com. gutengardening@gmail.com. So yes, I'm walking in 5 or 6 inches of snow, but I'm not getting upset about it. I know it has so many benefits. I've talked about some of those benefits at this point. You know what's underneath this snow right here? Underneath this blanket of snow is a whole bunch of hay. That's our root style bed, and the winter time out here is helping to continue to break down this hay so that we can continue growing some amazing potatoes in here. And even though I know we're several months away from all of this being garden space, I understand that the snow is actually helping us a whole lot more than it's doing any kind of hurt. So as cold as it is out here right now, this stuff is a massive benefit here in our garden, and hopefully, as you think about it, especially if you're in one of the colder growing zones, you have a greater appreciation for the snowfall around you. Folks, if you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to give us a like, leave us a comment, remember to share and subscribe, and most importantly, remember, when you're with us, you are good to grow.